Xavier won Big Brother. Yay! He made history. Xavier won BB Handicap, BB Short Bus season. You know, the season that CBS employed itself to make history, so they cast 6 people of the quote unquote same mindset, racist much, and they cast a full of people who would enable this mission, this Big Brother racist mission of getting people who aren't really naturally aligned, but because of race, they align so they can have the first winner with all of the list of handicaps that were provided for this season in twist and in cast. But anyway, they're now celebrating it. And one of the outlets that are celebrating it is the Los Angeles Times, who stated in its headline, after 23 seasons, Big Brother names its first black winner. So they're celebrating Xavier, the black male winner of Big Brother. But not too long ago, they were downing a black man. Oh, yeah, Larry Elder. Larry Elder was a black man, or is still, that they pretty much made a racist attack with, making a black liberal woman call him the black face of white supremacy. Well, I'm sure she came up with that on her own, but they employed her knowing that she would make such a defamatory statement. So while the Los Angeles Times pretends and celebrates Xavier, it must be remembered that about a month ago, exactly a month ago, they employed a woman to call a black man the face of white supremacy because he was running against a white liberal man by the name of Gavin Newsom, and he simply wanted to open up the Los Angeles economy because right now they're in a commie state where they're regulating and controlling everything, and they're using this AI virus as an excuse to do so. And the reason why I call it AI virus because it seems like it picks and chooses when it's dangerous. Gavin Newsom was exposed for having dinner with his mask off in close proximity with friends. And also during 2020, there was thousands of people gathered in the name of BLM protests. But, magically, a super spreader event didn't occur when thousands of people were gathered close together, not all wearing their mask, in the name of protesting. I guess social justice provides you with immunity. But anyway, the celebrations continue on with another mainstream media outlet called The Insider celebrating the All Black Alliance dominating Big Brother 23. And of course, they got a former house guest to talk about it to champion this. And the house guest that they got was fucking Jody Rollins of Big Brother 14. The first person that was evicted. And she essentially defends this bullshit per usual. Talking about how she thinks it speaks volumes of how we've been programmed as a society where if anything makes us feel uncomfortable or we don't like it, we lash out. Blah, 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 bullshit. Jody Rollins, by the way, she's married to a white man. Oh, man, this shit is just, it's never ending. You also had June defending this. Again, same talking points, different words. Again, another woman who was married to a white man and had a baby by one, who's now divorced because she's a miserable slore. But this is the open joke that it is. They employ these people, they encourage these people, and these people themselves enable all of this racism that they have. But at the end of the day, they further perpetuate their psychological issues because they didn't want to be around said white people. And Xavier is a perfect representation of that. He goes on with, Entertainment Weekly and speaks about how this is a good thing, what happened this season, because we want little black boys and little black girls to see, hey, there are ways to be successful. There are ways to make an impact without being an amazing entertainer or being a professional athlete. Dude, this is fucking Big Brother. You didn't become president of the United States. You didn't become CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Or you didn't sell your company for billions of dollars after creating the next tech giant. You won Big Brother. But again, Xavier will say all the right things, aka all the right bullshit. And so he's a perfect symbol to represent this season. In fact, him and Tiffany, Kang and Quains, like they're perfect. They're two perfect representations of the mainstream narrative and what they like to perpetuate about so-called black people in the mainstream media. You got the loud mouth, antagonistic, combative chick who will loudly and proudly talk all the pro-black shit. Meanwhile, she got Whitey number one and Whitey number two lined up. And then you have Xavier. He's has the more calm demeanor, the more professional persona. But at the end of the day, he's like a Andrew Gilliam. Andrew Gilliam's that black dude that was running for office in Florida, and then he got found on the floor, drugs everywhere, after getting his hole blown open, with his white liberal sponsors, who were male, by the way. And based on some of Xavier's comments in the house, that he made towards Christian, namely, it makes me further speculate that he will be an Andrew Gilliam type. In fact, I can see him settling down with a so-called black woman just to appease and pander to Instagram. Like, I believe Xavier is a politician of that ilk that will just do anything to appease the bullshit. Because he's not going to call out all of the coon nonsense that's been coming from people with BLM in their Twitter bios. He's not going to address Melissa or Taran, and Rob has a podcast, who has been dogging him and his credibility as a player and his win, which, Little Miss Daisy made a rant about. And in fact, their fake asses at RHAP won't bring it up, I'm sure. They recently had an interview with them, and I'm sure they didn't bring shit up. But yeah, the coon talk, he won't bring that up, because it's still been happening. As recent as at least 11 hours ago, you have someone who says, a coon as the first Big Brother winner. I'm sick. You have another one says, Xavier is such a coon. Quote, that's my boy, unquote. I guess they're quoting him. Nigga, shut up. And then you have another account who says, it makes sense that Xavier and Derek F get along so well. They're both coons. And then that same Twitter account says, Xavier, fuck you, coon ass Negro. And guess what she has in her Twitter bio? Black women are superior. So yeah, that's the type that's been cheerleading the Cookout. And that's the type you can guarantee that production, that the woke alumni and the woke BB podcasters, they will ignore that type, pretend that it doesn't exist, and instead celebrate this racist history, which CBS has been fully engaged in promoting. Even though they act like racism was so offensive to them in Big Brother 15, but I guess it just has to fit the right casting type and character type in order for them to deem racism worthy of acknowledging. And and speaking of casting type, it now makes you wonder, what will Big Brother 24's mission be? Because people are expecting it now. They set the precedent with this. So now each and every season, fans will be looking for their category of person to be represented. I mean, I already saw on Big Brother Reddit where people was like, well, we need to do the same thing. And this was before this season started. And they found out about the cast and the POC quota, as they like to say. But yeah, in Big Brother Big Brother Reddit, they were saying, hey, well, we need an elemental P, 50% representation. And so, they're going to want that. And again, there's other races and ethnicities that haven't even been in the house before. Like, has a Samoan been in the house? Pacific Islander descent. So everyone's going to expect, and they're going to want, their, representative to be in the house and to win the game. Because that's another thing Xavier talks about in this EW article, stating how representation is important, even when it comes to something as trivial as Big Brother. The only good thing that he said in this interview was that he was going to set aside some money for his nephew, because his brother passed away recently. But if he's going to mentor his nephew that he is a perpetual race victim and he should act accordingly, then he's not honoring shit with that. He's not honoring shit with that. Or he, trains him in the right way, mentors him in the right way, but then says in public you have to pretend that you're a racial victim because that's what others expect out of you because you're a so-called black male, then again, he's doing a disservice and he's not honoring a goddamn thing. And Xavier, again, seems like an Andrew Gilliam type who will adhere to whatever the mainstream media narrative is. Unlike Kylan, who showed that he's willing to stand his ground. He's willing to be combative. I wouldn't be surprised that in the near future he acknowledges and he admits regretting playing this season the way he did, because he could have had a much better shot at not only actually winning the season, but cementing himself as one of the greatest players in Big Brother history. If we got the Kylan that we saw, when he was getting evicted, if we got that the entire season, but with more tact throughout the season, and he won like that, without question, he would be ranked as one of the best winners ever. But, he sacrificed his game for some bullshit that he's not even around and that he doesn't even really participate in real life, as far as with his associations being all so-called black. And that goes for every member of the Cookout. The Cookout alliance does not reflect the real life alliances of any of the people that was in the Cookout. None of their associations are all so-called black. Which makes it further disturbing and further fake. But this is what CBS wanted, and they've carried it on into this newest season of Survivor. So I guess it's fair to assume we can no longer expect a real season of Big Brother. Big Brother will just now be all social justice. No more gameplay. No more strategy. It's just about ticking all the right boxes and getting a winner that way. Because even though they got Devon 2.0, the AFP, they still want that winner to be some female. They're dissatisfied. Can't have two males win this game back to back. So I strongly speculate they will now cast seasons around what type that they want to win. And they're going to give them the best chances possible based on the casting and based on the Big Brother twist. So I'm predicting it right now. Expect a female winner, 100% guaranteed for Big Brother 24. Because that's how they will cast it. And in order for that to happen, they're going to have to cast a bunch of simps, cucks, and male feminist bitches, or they won't get that winner that they want. So expect a bunch of dudes willingly sacrificing themselves so a woman can win for women representation because they sorely, sorely need it now. This is Big Brother, y'all. Now and until cancellation.